Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about taxes, specifically corporate taxes. I know, very exciting, but I mean, you did click on a video with taxes in the title, so thanks for that. But I think we can agree that taxes are a very important topic in any part of the economy, because ultimately money goes where it's treated best. That's at the corporate level, the personal level, whatever it happens to be, people will move their money to the place where it is treated best if they can afford to do so. And within the United States specifically, you have many different jurisdictions competing with one another. You have one state that might offer one set of perks and benefits to whoever comes to it, and another might offer a different set. And you get this experimentation among the states, and then even within the states, between cities or localities, they'll have their own policies as well. Some jurisdictions might use more limited government approaches, more libertarian ideals to try and create their best policy. Others might have more socialist tendencies to try and redistribute wealth among citizens or companies to try and help out the little guy. And whatever policy mix a particular place uses, that's being put up to the test against all the other different places that a person could go to in real time. This is a real-time thing, seeing which place is operating the best, and it really is a sort of market. Every single place is trying to make itself the most desirable it can be to its current residents and to future residents as well. Now, what each location thinks is ideal in the first place is going to be very different. That's why you get such wild differences between different localities, even within a particular country, and definitely between countries if you're looking at a more global scale. Which brings me to this announcement from the US Treasury, which is currently headed by former Fed Chair Janet Yellen. The Treasury pitches global minimum tax rate of at least 15%. And that's specifically a minimum corporate tax rate of at least 15%. And this is after meeting with officials from other countries as part of international tax negotiations. This was announced recently. They'd been talking about making this pitch before, so this isn't really new news, but it's relatively new, I suppose. But the article reads that the Treasury underscored that 15% is a floor and that discussions should continue to be ambitious and push that rate higher. And the Treasury was heartened by the positive reception to its proposals and the unprecedented progress being made towards establishing a global corporate minimum tax rate, since there is not a global minimum at the moment. And this apparently was during negotiations with the OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is an international organization of countries that try to coordinate their policies on trade and taxes and whatever. But why would the Treasury want to support a global minimum tax rate? Well, let's ask Janet Yellen. She says that establishing a global minimum tax rate could help to end a quote-unquote race to the bottom on corporate taxes and help ensure countries are able to raise sufficient revenue to provide public services. And this is all during the news that the Biden administration wants to raise the corporate tax rate to something higher than it is now, probably up back to around 28%. It's currently at 21% for corporations. So to summarize, you have the United States in one corner of this international organization with Janet Yellen saying, hey, all you other countries, why don't you raise your corporate taxes up to at least 15%? We're going to make that a minimum. Don't mind the fact that we're already at 21%, so we don't really have to worry about changing anything, but all you guys should definitely raise your taxes. And don't worry, she says, it's just to raise taxes for public services, so it's good for you. Here's why this proposal is so wonky. Remember that discussion we just had in this video about how jurisdictions are trying to compete with one another to try and attract businesses, attract people, to make their country or city or whatever it is as attractive as possible for the most number of people. Well, one way that many countries do this, especially ones that might not have a ton of natural resources or might not otherwise have some sort of huge geographic advantage, well, they offer very great tax benefits, including zero corporate taxes, zero personal income taxes, whatever it is. You have a lot of these tax havens throughout the world. One you've probably heard about is the Cayman Islands, which is where I had my honeymoon. It's just an island with mostly beaches and pretty much nothing else. Well, there's a ton of corporations there because they have super lax tax laws. And when we're talking about the Cayman Islands, that's actually where the holding company for Alibaba's ADR, for its American listed stock, the ADR is like a derivative of the actual company stock, that's where it is. It's in the Cayman Islands. Wow. But anyways, you have tax havens all around the world, and countries and cities are constantly trying to incentivize companies and people to come to their places, even if they have low taxes, because they're trying to bring in jobs, they're trying to bring in some sort of activity, they're trying to bring in money, so that can circulate around their economy and maybe be taxed in other ways or otherwise provide growth for the country. But Janet Yellen wants to create an international floor to where no one can have a 0% corporate tax rate, at least according to international law. We should make it so 15% is what it's got to be. And otherwise, you're going to be punished somehow, economic sanctions, whatever they want to do to put teeth behind it. But the obvious thing that the United States could do to make itself more attractive to more companies is to actually lower the corporate tax rate or do something like that. But instead, rather than lower theirs, they're asking everyone else to raise theirs to make themselves less attractive compared to the US, which obviously is a raw deal for other countries. Think of it like having every country as a different store on a block. And one store, we'll say, is the United States. It's a grocery store. We'll say it's a bunch of grocery stores. And the one grocery store run by the United States has pretty high prices, or we'll say medium prices. You have other grocery stores that have higher prices, or tax rates in this case. And across the street, you have the Cayman Islands grocery store, which offers very low prices, and they're making a killing because all these people are deciding to move away from the United States grocery store, and they're going to the Cayman Island grocery store because the prices are lower. The tax rate is lower. Now imagine the United States grocery store going over to the Cayman Island store and saying, hey, you can't charge these prices. You need to raise your prices because we need a floor, because that will help everything. And the Cayman Island store naturally would be like, we don't want to raise prices. That's your problem if you need more tax revenue, not our problem. And look, I'm not saying that taxes are bad across the board. Taxes are necessary to fund various things for an entire society. You have defense, you have infrastructure, you have education in many cases. You have lots of things that need to be paid for by the rest of society, and that's why you have taxes. And even these tax havens have taxes in other places. They just might organize it differently to create a different incentive structure. But to have one country point at all the rest and say, you need to do this or else, just doesn't seem like it's the best way to create that ideal package of incentives, that ideal package of tax benefits, that ideal package of whatever, since it's all about that competition between countries to create the best system. And that's always changing, like we said at the beginning. Different jurisdictions are experimenting with different policies, and they're competing with one another constantly. And if other countries were to actually go along with it, or more likely were to get strong-armed into it, you're eliminating the benefits of that competition between jurisdictions to try and find that best solution. The fact of the matter is the United States has a horrific deficit problem, and other countries do as well, but it's its own deficit problem. It's not everyone else's problem that needs to get passed on to everyone else. Now, maybe it will indirectly, but to coerce other countries into changing their systems just because the United States doesn't want to change its own is not the way to do it. And if people and businesses lose the ability to vote with their feet, then we probably have some bigger problems in the world. But anyways, that's all I've got for today. Thanks again for sticking around for a video all about corporate taxes. You are the real MVP, and if you like this video, definitely like it, since that would help the channel out a lot. And be sure to subscribe for more investing and personal finance content, since I put out new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. Also got some affiliate links in the description below, so check those out as well. But until next time, take care.